Hello and welcome. You are listening to an informed take on current events brought to you by law students and staff of Queen's University Belfast. This is LawPod.
Hi everyone and welcome to LawPod. This is the second in our PhD mini-series where we get to know some of the PhD researchers currently here in the School of Law. And I'm joined today by Nkem. Hi Nkem.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
You're welcome, Rachel.
So today we're just going to learn a little bit about Nkem and who she is and how she came to her topic, and then a little bit about her PhD journey so far. Mm-hmm. So if just by introduction, you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what your topic is here.
Okay. My name is Nkem Itanyi. I am from Nigeria, and I am a second-year PhD student here at Queen's. The title of my research is Sanctions for Copyright Infringement in the Film Industry in Developing Economies. I am taking Nigeria as a case study. I have been an academic in Nigeria for a couple of years, and I have been involved in the teaching of intellectual property law. And during the course of my teaching, I realized that we do have a robust and thriving film industry in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, statistics show that Nigeria is the third largest film industry in the world as regards film produced. Now, this figure was brought out by the United Nations Educational, Cultural and Scientific Organization, UNESCO. And Nigeria only falls behind India's Bollywood and Hollywood. So we got our own name, Nollywood. But for some reason, Nigeria's film industry is not well known on the global pace. And I when I came to Queen's, the first roundtable we had with fellow PhD students, we said, introduce yourself, your topic. And I asked them, how many of you know about the Nigerian film industry? And only one person has actually heard about the Nigerian film industry. And it really got me thinking that it's not only, in Nigeria that we don't really appreciate our film industry, but worldwide we are not well known. And I realized that this question, the reason why this might be reasons of piracy and enforcement of the rules of piracy. So that is our hypothesis. That is our research question. Is piracy the reason why we are not well known around the world? And so this research is actually to test that hypothesis and see what I'll come up with in conducting my research.
Could you explain that a little bit more, how piracy could be resulting in Nigerian film not being more well known? Well,
Nigerian film industry, the main problem about our industry is that when the films are produced, we have several copies that come up to the market, and after the first few hundred, the rest that are sold are pirated copies, and these are even openly pirated copies. Now, this the film industry has been researched from other areas, social sciences and film studies, but little has been done from the legal perspective, and that's why I wanted to contribute to that. But having a conversation with a researcher who had done his study. He had his PhD on Nigerian film industry, but from the film studies perspective. He told me that he went to an open market in Italy to buy a Nigerian film when he started his research, because he just wanted to watch a Nigerian film and know what it was all about. And so at that point in time, the movie he picked up from the Italian market was actually a pirated copy. And so this issue of piracy, you can call it a double-edged sword. I mean, if not for the pirated copy, he wouldn't have had knowledge of the of the industry. So we have this conflicting issues. That is piracy really? That is why at some stage, actually the stage I am on right now in my research is trying to understand the piracy question and to establish whether piracy in itself is economically harmful to the film industry. Now, in doing that, I will have to look at the impact from several aspects or several perspectives. I have to look at the impact, for example, on DVD and DVD sales. I have to look at the impact on cinema and box office sales. I have to look at the impact of piracy on streaming and downloading. It's only then will I be able to say, well, really, piracy is economically harmful or not to the industry. Now, these studies are from the US, from the United Kingdom, and from all over the world. So when I look at these studies, I'll be able to interpret them and put them into the Nigerian perspective, the lessons learned, the trends, and I'll be able to actually understand the piracy question after looking at the literature and be able to answer my questions.
So it sounds like you need to gather a fair amount of data then, both about, the impact of piracy, but also Nigeria and the films being produced there. What kind of methodological challenges have you faced?
Yes, the methodological challenges I have faced, number one, because there is the research is not so robust as it is as at now. So after doing the initial DEX-based analysis, I have to combine it with a qualitative analysis. I have to go back home to the stakeholders in Nigeria and conduct semi-structured, in-depth interviews with certain stakeholders. I have to have interviews with the producers, the directors, the film stars, the actors of the actual movies, the marketers. I will have to have interviews with some law academics. I also have to have interviews with the government representatives. Now, we have a parastatal called the Nigerian Copyright Commission. Now, it will be necessary to have an interview with the Director General or his representative. Right now, the law we have on copyright in Nigeria is the 1988 Act, so it's been a while. So we have a draft bill before the National Assembly. So having these interviews with them, I will be able to understand how they feel the law should be framed, how policy should be changed accordingly, and I'll hopefully be able to put that into my research and make my recommendations accordingly.
Okay. And you said you're in your second year now, but you still have a fair way to go. But maybe what has been most interesting or surprising in what you've learned so far?
Yes. When I started, my supervisors wanted me to go and have a look into the history of the film industry. And I realized even as a Nigerian, I didn't really know so much about the film industry. I mean, it dated way back. I'd be able to establish 3 levels of film. We had the pre-colonial, we had the what we call the original Nollywood, and now we have the other part of new Nollywood, as is so called, and the digital Nollywood. So these are the issues I thought I took for granted. Oh, I know the film industry, but I mean, going into a research into the film industry was surprising. Also, I've had to develop and research into the history of copyright law in Nigeria. I have taught copyright for a while in Nigeria, and there are so many things that I didn't advert my mind to that this research opened me to. That there are things that you take for granted from the pre-colonial era up to now. Why did for example, how come the 1970 Act came up when it did? I just, well, it's 1970 Act, but going into the research, there were answers which surprised me because I felt this is my area. I should be able to know it. But with the questions raised by my supervisors, I was able to do an in-depth research and understand these things even more.
That sounds incredible. It sounds like you're getting a really textured understanding of an area that's maybe just not really understood in Nigeria or outside of Nigeria.
Exactly so.
Wow.
Very true.
More broadly, I guess, what has been your experience of starting this PhD journey? What kind of has been surprising or unsurprising about starting life as a PhD student?
Yeah, number one, because I had an educational break, so I taught and I did my master's in London, actually, University College London, many years ago, almost 20 years ago, and so coming back to sitting down and doing research, being on the other side of the table was humbling. And I was like, okay, there are many things I do not know and I have to just learn, So I made sure I was able to go to as many training sessions as I could to be able to improve myself. And also because I'm a mom and I was coming to this country with 4 children, 3 of them are teenagers and 1 is a preteen. I needed a place where I will be safe. It was important to me that I can be at Queen's conducting my research, and my children could walk to school, come back from school, and they are safe. Queen's offered that. A Queen's owned accommodation, which has 24/7 security personnel covering it. So for me, that was a very pleasant surprise because I just Googled online accommodation, but I didn't know it was going to be that secure. So that for me was a pleasant surprise. The other surprise was, as I said, being one of the oldest in the class. My fellow researchers are straight from LLB, LLM, straight to PhD. So most of them are a lot younger than I am. But it's been an awesome journey, I must say, because in my group we have a way of coming together. We make good friends, so we have time for one another, for the support. The support I get from my other researchers, it has been good.
That's great. And it's really heartening to hear that and that you're having a positive experience.
Yes.
What advice might you give someone who is listening and maybe considering a PhD themselves?
I would advise that you can do this at any stage, at any time. For me, life-work balance was important. There was a stage where I needed to step back from the education and face my family, and I'm back to education, and it is really good, and it helps because you have the experience of all the years, which you can't take that away. You use it to improve yourself. My oldest daughter wants to come to Queen's. Just on Friday, we went to the Royal Court of Justice, and we witnessed the swearing in of 12 new Queen councils, and 2 of them were women. And I turned to her, you see, you can achieve anything at any age, even if you are a woman. So all that, it's encouraging for anyone who is thinking of or you want to go straight from LLB, LLM straight to PhD, or you've had a break and you have kids and you want to do it. And I think it's all about a balance. Set your goals, and I think you can achieve it.
Thank you. And just because we've been talking about Nollywood and, as you reflected on yourself, people may not be aware of the films that are coming out of Nigeria. Are there any films that you would recommend for someone that wants to learn more about this? Yes,
I would recommend Lionheart. It's on Netflix. It was actually the first original brought by Netflix, and it showed the theme. It's a feel-good movie. It's how our Nigerian background affects women in business. And I understand that it's the same way in Ireland. Women are like, you stay home, you take care of the family. But this film showed that a woman could take over her father's business and succeed. So Lionheart is a good movie to go watch.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us, and best of luck with your PhD journey.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to LawPod. You've been listening to an informed take on current events brought to you by the law students and staff at Queen's University Belfast. This episode was produced by Richard Somerville. Our theme music is by Colonel Chocolate and the Justice Triangle. LawPod is funded by the Queen's University Law School. Thanks to Nkem Itanyi for visiting us today and telling us about her PhD research. Please follow us on Twitter at QUB LawPod, and you can learn more about us at lawpod.org. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. I'm Rachel Killeen, and this was LawPod.